It's kick-off time here on Football Fives, and we're off to Goodison Park, or should that be Bramley-Moore Dock, to touch on the blue side of Merseyside. Today, my guest, a lifelong Everton fan, will be telling us all about his love for the Toffees prior to picking his ultimate Everton five-a-side football team, adhering to the guidelines set. I'm your host, Alex Kirkman, and I'm joined today by one of my oldest friends. I've known this man since I was at secondary school. I spent my first lads' holiday with him. We worked together, drank together, were DJs together, and most appropriately, I've had numerous falling out with him on the football pitch. He is Danny Vickers. How are you doing, Danny?
I'm alright, mate. God, that's made me laugh. Just hearing that introduction.
Well, we are going to elaborate a little bit on that. So I think it's safe to say, just before we start, where are we at the minute?
The world famous Beaumont Arms.
The world famous Beaumont Arms.
Yeah.
Both play football for this pub.
Yeah. God, that's going back as well.
We both worked here.
Yes, we did.
We both drank here under the age of 18.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. You probably more than me.
We watched, what World Cup was it? When we were at secondary school. France 98. So you just left secondary school. You left.
Yes.
I think you left secondary school 97.
Yes.
You were the year above me.
Yeah.
And we were doing our GCSEs during the World Cup.
Yeah.
And we used to
So
watch
we never revised.
No. We were just 2 minutes, and it were bottles of Budweiser, £1.20. Remember?
Yes.
£1.20 for bottles of Budweiser.
Yeah.
And we used to, me and my mates used to come home, because I used to live opposite this pub. Come home, get changed at my house, and come over
Straight
here.
to the pub.
Straight to the pub.
A
A lot of fond memories.
Good times.
Right, okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is you played football since a very young age.
Yeah.
Okay, and you were a goalkeeper. Now, you have to be a little bit mental to be a goalkeeper, and you are probably one of the least mental people that I know. You're not like...
That's why we're no good.
You're not like another person who's been mentioned quite a bit on this podcast, Paul Whittaker, who's another goalkeeper who's off his head. So anyway, you've always been a goalkeeper ever since I've known you, which is the most thankless position in football. So why goalkeeping?
Oh my word. Where can I start with that? I think the only thing I can put it down to, I remember when I was probably, I don't know how old, 8 or 9, I started off at Cubs. And that's how I sort of got into it. And I just remember turning up to football and thinking, I'm not really happy about the running around. The running around side of the game, I'm really not. It's not for me, and it still isn't. And then I just thought, right, well, I'll just take that position that nobody seems to want to do. But when I started doing it and started diving around in the mud, I mean, the pitches back then, God, they used to be horrendous. And you never had the thin skin tops that you had now. I always remember my mum used to put me in thick joggers. Jogging pants, a thick jumper, and then my goalkeeping kit on top of that. So then when I'd get wet in a puddle, I'd then be wearing like 10 times the weight, and I'd just be shivering. And then but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed diving around. I enjoyed just thinking to myself, oh, I don't have to do the running about. But then I think I just fell in love with it, and I just thought, this is great. And I never really understood why people didn't take to it. When you play with your mates and stuff like that, it's like, oh, I don't want to go in there. I don't want to. I loved it. I just loved it. And
I'll tell you what used to happen when we were younger. And don't pretend that I don't know, because I know exactly what happened. We used to play football on the school pitch, didn't we? Every night, every single night. And there were some times, and looking back now, I get it. But there were some times where you say, I'm not going in there because I'm always going in there. And when you say, yeah, but Danny, you're a goalkeeper, you have to go in there. So it's like, yeah, but I'm not going in there.
That,
So then what would happen is we would always pick numbers for who went in net.
Yeah.
And they were never done fairly.
No.
Because you would always, you'd always mouth to someone, pick number 2, pick number 2. And it was always someone like me or whoever wasn't flavour of the week that week. But yeah, I played football with you loads. I don't mind saying absolutely fantastic goalkeeper. Absolutely fantastic goalkeeper. You're a moaning get.
Oh yeah, that was it. I think in terms of the
mad.
craziness, I wasn't as crazy, but I just moaned. And now I just moan him away from football now. Yeah. I've still got the moaning. The moaning side.
So we used to play. I mean, I mentioned it when we were doing the episode with Jiggy about the five-a-side team.
Oh yeah.
And you were one of the originals as well. There was me, the originals, and me, Jiggy, Paul Whitaker,
Yeah.
Austin, Lee,
Yeah.
and yourself,
Austin,
Dave
yeah,
Carroll. We talked about Austin
Yeah.
on the
Oh,
Bolton
my
episode.
word,
Yeah, and you were the original goalkeeper.
Yeah.
And I was a defender. And the amount of arguments that we had, because I used to stand in the way of a shot, and you used to say, "Get out of my way, I can't see." So I used to say, "That's my job," and then I just used to stand away and let. Like,
And then going anywhere.
Yeah.
Oh, cheers, mate. Cheers. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Right, I mean, what's your order there, Dan?
I've just being an ex-athlete, former athlete. I've just gone for a cheeseburger and some chips.
Right, okay.
You know, it has to be done. I'm setting an example for my son here.
Yeah. So going back to that five-a-side, we'd argue, and it'd go on all game.
Gosh, yeah.
And then we'd go back to the change rooms, give each other a hug, and then come back to the pub and have a drink, no problem, all forgotten about.
Yeah.
So you played at quite a good level as well, aren't you? Haven't you, as a goalkeeper?
Yeah, well, I kept at it, and like I said, I just I fell in love with it, and I think I'm just trying to think. I carried on playing Sunday League, like you mentioned, for the pub and for Ladybridge, and then from there, I ended up having a short spell at Bury when I left college, and then but they were in financial trouble and everything, and it was. You know, I was turning in and you're not getting paid and all that kind of stuff. And I just thought, oh, sack this. And I just ended up playing non-league then for the rest of my time. And again, I loved it because, you know, there was a bit more travelling involved. So you're going further afield and, you know, you're all right. You're getting earning a bit of money out of it. And it's, it was brilliant. It was obviously more competitive and you used to come up against some brilliant footballers. You know, I always like to say I've played against a few Wayne Rooneys. I've played against a few Steven Gerrards.
Yeah.
There's those types of players are out there in the non-league game, and I think Jamie Vardy is a prime example of that.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, he was lucky enough to get discovered, but I just went into non-league then and had a bit of success and played for as long as I could at the highest level I could. Played in a few preliminary rounds of the FA Cup, and then from there, I think it was more so when the kids arrived.
Yeah.
And it just changes, doesn't it?
Everything changes.
Completely.
They spoil everything.
Yeah, they just ruin it.
They ruin everything.
Yeah, they just ruin it. And but no, it changes, and your responsibilities change. And then
definitely.
Working shifts in a job was always bloody difficult, and it's getting trying to get time off, trying to get Saturdays off, and it was just becoming a battle. And I just thought, you know, I can't keep this up. So I just went playing for CMB, a local club, which is, you know, it's a decent standard. It weren't too bad. But then towards the end of that, I was getting fed up of playing away games and stuff like that, and you could start to see it was. And I wanted to hang. I weren't one of them players who was like, oh, you know, because I've seen it before, like young lads who are like 25, 26, and they're like, oh yeah, I'm knocking it on the head and all that, and I'm just thinking, I just want to play for as long as I can. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Even though like you get to the point you can't get up in the morning because you feel like you've been in a car accident or something like that. But I played as long as I can. But yeah, I've been quite lucky with playing at the standard I did, and loved it.
I mean, I'm 42 and I'm still playing, albeit five-a-side.
Yeah,
I'm still playing. But I can't not do. Can't not play. When I had to stop playing, and we had Jiggy was on the shore. Yeah, he had a really bad knee injury, and it looks like he's not going to be able to play anymore. Yeah, and I'll be devastated.
Yeah, that's it. And because I think with my job now, because I'm in a physical job, and I've got to keep fit. Not long starting in my job, I bloody slipped a disc in my neck, and I just thought, you know what, I need to weigh up what's important, and you know, and football's not going to pay me bills, and so
you're kind of living your goalkeeping life for your son now. He's a goalkeeper, isn't he?
Yeah. My son, he's doing really well. He started playing, and again, this was something I wanted him to discover it on his own. I didn't want to push him into it. If he didn't like football, that's fine. If he preferred rugby, tennis, golf, whatever, I weren't bothered. I wanted him to discover it on his own. So we went to a couple of training sessions with Ladybridge before lockdown, before COVID. Yeah. Didn't really get a good feel for it because the time of year we went, it was just pouring down, and then after lockdown, he wanted to get back in it again. So he had a season at Ladybridge, and then he ended up at Daisy Hill, and he's loving it. He absolutely loves it, and so it's good to see. So I always said I'm never one of them parents that stands on the touchline and shouts.
It's hard.
I can't believe how much it takes over you.
Yeah,
it's like you become this hooligan. I don't behave like that when I'm watching Everton. You know what I mean?
Do you know? It's funny you should say that. So I used to coach a girls' team, and as a result, I used to miss Heidi playing football.
Yeah,
and Heidi's really coming on playing football, and I went to a couple of pre-season games, and I was done. I was like, I'm done with coaching. I want to see Heidi play football. Yeah. So I stopped. I stopped coaching. So I watch Heidi now. But I'll tell you what, it's hard because I think I'm Pep Guardiola on sidelines. And I've never been gifted with football. I've never been gifted with a football brain, really. But honest to God, as soon as when Heidi's playing, I think I'm Pep Guardiola and I can coach this team. And I'm on the other side. And it gets to a point where I tell her something and she turns around and says, well, Smithy told me to do this. And I'm like, yeah, listen to him, he's your coach. And then I kind of like check myself and then, because they're the coach and they're fantastic coaches and they're doing a really, really good job. Just before we move on, one last thing about his playing career. I was thinking about it today. What was the TV programme that you were on, the highlights? What was it called now?
Oh, Transworld Sport.
Transworld Sport, that was it. I was thinking about it today, I couldn't think of the name.
It's on, I think it's on YouTube. Right. I think if you type in FC United, the Ashton Town, Transworld Sport, something like that, it comes on.
So so that was at Gig Lane, wasn't it? You played at Gig Lane against FC United in Manchester. They brought about 3,000 fans or something like that. Yeah. And Ashton Town had about 20. And it was us, and we all brought banners and face paint, white and blue. And we had, what car were you driving at the time?
It was a Hyundai Coupe.
And we brought a banner saying Danny Vickers drives a girly car.
And I think, didn't you have one saying Danny Vickers for mayor?
Yeah, it was brilliant.
I remember running out out the tunnel onto the pitch. And the first thing I thought I did was like, I've got to check that they're in the ground. I've got to check that they're in. I turned around. The first thing I saw was these big signs, and I just thought, what on earth have they done? And the next thing I'm getting a tap off the shoulder off one of the lads, and they're like, "Are they your mates?" And I'm like, "No, not anymore."
And do you know what though? We were chanting. There were only about 20 of us, and we were chanting songs. We were making songs up. Yeah. And the FC United, Manchester fans, gives a right good ovation. Yeah. And then I know that players come over as well along the way. That was brilliant.
Yeah,
right. Anyway, so I've known you for over 30 years, and you've always been an Everton fan.
Yeah.
It was a bit unheard of when we were kids because the majority of kids were either Bolton fans, United fans, maybe the odd Liverpool fan, but nobody who lived in Bolton supported Everton. So, why Everton?
I was thinking exactly the same. I was talking to my son the other day.
Were you going to ask me?
Yeah. And I said, like, so basically, my mum and dad weren't into football. So if I wanted to go and watch a football match, I had no one to take me to go and watch Bolton. No one in the family was interested in Manchester United or Liverpool. But my uncle and my grandpa at the time, my grandpa supported Bolton. He grew up watching Bolton, but he also liked Everton. And my uncle sort of, when he was growing up, moved towards the Everton side. So if I wanted to go and watch a football match, it had to be, it was Everton, because there was only my uncle and my grandpa who would take me. And that's how it sort of came about, really. I mean, I wouldn't say I didn't go to loads of games, but it was one of them. When I went, I just loved it. I just loved it. And I remember to this day, I remember seeing Goodison Park for the first time as a kid. And I tell Josie, because we parked the car in the same spot where I used to go with my uncle. And I can see looking at my son's face when he sees Goodison just appear from the roofs of the houses. It's just, his face just lights up, and I remember I was the same, and I know we're going to talk about it later, but it'll be sad when it's gone. It really will. But and that's how and it just sort of followed on from there, really. Just during my playing days, it was difficult to go and watch them. because I was playing all the time. We would play, especially for non-league. I was playing midweek games. I was playing, and then I was playing Saturdays, and then there was training twice a week. So I just never got the chance. It was a match of the day when I was playing. But yeah, that's how I sort of came into it.
Well, we'll touch on it now because we're on to the stadium. So it's one of the few kind of established Premier League grounds I've never been to. I've never been to Goodison Park. I've been to a lot of the others, but it's one of the few that
I thought you'd been.
No, I haven't. Right. But I've heard it's a dump.
Well, yeah, I suppose. Yeah, that's what you're going to do.
So are you looking for the new stadium currently under construction on Bramley-Moore Dock in Liverpool?
Yeah.
Excited?
Yes, very much. I am.
Needed?
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I tell my son this as well. I remember getting a football annual. You know, when you were a kid, they did these. I mean, I know they still do them. And it was a football annual. And I must have been about 12 or 13 when I got it. And they did sections on each club. Yeah. And there was. I always remember reading it saying, Everton fans were asked to complete a survey as to whether or not they'd be looking to leave Goodison Park for a new stadium. And I thought, God, I'm 43 now, and that's how long it's been talked about moving Goodison for all the, for nearly bloody 30 years. So, it's needed. It is needed because I took my wife and my daughter to a game at Goodison last season. It was it was a cup game against Fulham, which went to penalties and we lost. And we sat in stand. We're in the main stand, and obviously me and my son have been to a few games, and we sat in the main stand, and my wife sits down and she just went, "What the hell is this?" And there's just like two big stanchion poles. So in front of me, she couldn't even see the goal. I'm like, "Look, you just have to get used to it." That's just like, if everyone cheers, it's gone in. I think in that respect, it's needed. There's a certain section of the ground where my son doesn't like sitting because the view's quite bad, but at the same time, it'll just be gutted to see it. It's like when Beaumont Park. Yeah. It's one of them old grounds, isn't it? Yeah. And it's it's needed, but it'll be a sad day when it goes.
When I was doing a bit of research, because I have done a bit of research, what's it going to be called? Because they've not got a name for it, I'm assuming.
No,
I couldn't find it anywhere. I couldn't even find any rumours or anything like that.
There's been a few rumours circulating about. I think the latest one I heard was that Toyota were going to look at trying to get the naming rights for it, because that's what it's all about now. It's all about naming rights, and it's like Newcastle's ground. That's to me is always St James's Park, but it's like Sports Direct Arena or something. Now.
No, I think it's gone back to. Do you know what? I want to say it's gone back to St James.
It was Sports Direct, wasn't it?
I think it's gone back to St James. Yeah, I'm 99% certain it has, but I don't want to say it has.
Yeah, because actually, what's called Mark Ashley, whatever it's called, Sports Direct, he's gone now, hasn't he? So as far as I know, as it stands, it's just going to be Bramley-Moore. It's just going to be known as Bramley-Moore Stadium, but I think a naming right sponsor will come in at some point and take it.
Right. Okay. So. Let's talk about Everton. Favourite memories?
That's a quick question. They're probably none.
What's that?
They're probably none. Don't have any.
Well, so favourite memories, matches, goals?
Yeah, so I think one memory in particular was back in 1995 when we won the FA Cup. The semi-final was brilliant. In fact, the semi-final was probably better than the final because we were playing Tottenham at Ellen Road.
Yeah.
And Tottenham were favourites to win it. We hadn't conceded a goal throughout the whole rounds of the FA Cup.
Okay.
At that point, we'd not conceded a goal. And during that game, we did. And it was a penalty.
Right, okay.
Scored by Jurgen Klinsmann.
Right.
And there was. I just remember the build up to the game, and it was just all Tottenham. Tottenham this, Tottenham this, Tottenham this. And no one had put. I don't think had put a penny on us to even get through. But we just annihilated them. We beat them 4-1. I think Matt Jackson scored the first one. Graham Stewart scored the second, and then Daniel Amokachi came. I don't know if you remember Daniel.
Yeah, I remember Daniel. Yeah, I remember.
He was Nigerian international. Joe Royal was our manager, who, funnily enough, I think it was so many years ago today, came to Everton.
Oh, right, okay.
I remember seeing it before. Yeah, and he always says that Stanley on the catcher basically came on and scored 2 goals,
Right.
made it 4-1. And Joe Royle always says he's the greatest substitute I never made. Apparently, Akanji brought himself on. That's how they did things in Everton. They just let the players do whatever they want. And it's quite. I think there's a bit more to the story. But yeah, he just came on, and and then we progressed through to the final. Manchester United in the final again. We're nowhere near favourites to win it, even demolishing the favourites. I remember Cantona wasn't playing, but Neville Southall had a brilliant game, and Paul Rideout scored in the 35th minute. A header. Graham Stewart's, I think the ball's come across. Graham Stewart's hit it. It's hit the bar, bounced down, and then Paul Rideout's headed the follow up in. And I just remember Peter Schmeichel having to go to Steve Bruce because he didn't handball it to stop it. And poor Brucey. but yeah, so that's probably the greatest game. But in terms of moments, Everton, obviously we've had a bad run for a few years now, but I think the 21-22 season when we'd beaten, it was the last home game of the season, and we had to beat Crystal Palace.
That was when Lampard was in charge.
Lampard was in charge.
Yeah.
I was on nights,
right,
and I think it was a later kickoff.
It was an evening game. I remember that.
Yeah, well, it was like late afternoon because I started at 7. So I remember, I think it was something like a 4 o'clock kickoff or 4:30.
On the last day of the season?
No, it was the last home game, our last home game.
Yeah, I thought it was a night game. I seem to remember. Right, okay, well.
It did go dark, so it was the celebrations afterwards.
Right, okay, yeah.
It was all dark, so it was a later kickoff.
Right.
But that game to me, we've played a few games where, I remember I was at a game when we played Coventry. When I was a kid, and we had to win to stay up, and it was out of Bolton or Everton that went down, and we won. And there was a big pitch invasion, and that was brilliant. And I came home, and my mum would put all my Everton shirts on the doorstep. And was
that the goal that was never given?
Yeah,
with Bolton and Everton.
Was it?
The game, it was the draw at the Reebok.
I think it was the first
and there was
game
a goal
at the
that was a mile over the line, and they never given. That's why Bolton fans hate Everton fans, or Bolton hate Everton.
Yeah,
I don't mind it. I can forgive, Danny. I can forgive.
Yeah, it was. And because Everton stayed up that season because you were playing Chelsea.
Yeah.
And
that's when
Chelsea.
The Chelsea fans were booing. We're booing Chelsea. Yeah, because it was when when Zola was managing. I think Zola was managing.
I think. Or was it Vialli?
It was Vialli. It wasn't Zola. It was Vialli. And Chelsea fans were booing Chelsea. Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah. So, but this Palace game, it was, even though I weren't there, I was watching it at home, and we'd got the game on, and my son was watching it, and bless him, he was so nervous. He was, because he just loves his football. He loves his football, and he was so nervous and so anxious. And we've gone 2-0 down, haven't we? I remember we went 2-0 down, and one of the players, Jordan Ayew, he should have been sent off on a tackle on Gordon, and it was a proper high tackle on the knee, just literally on the halfway line, and 30 seconds later, the referee's booked him. VAR even looked at it.
Right.
Typical. We don't like Everton. We're not doing anything about it. But then about 30 seconds or a minute later, Ayew scored, and it was a bit of a scuffy goal, and it went 2-0 down, and I just remember looking at my son, and he was just so gutted, and I just thought, and it was at that point I'd come to terms with the fact, because we'd lost at Burnley as well a few weeks before, and I just remember thinking, we're down, we're done here. Yeah. But then, Keane brought us back to 2-1. Then this was in the second half. Then Richarlison scored, and then when Damari Grace put a ball in for Calvert-Lewin, and he's just done this diving header and scored it, and it was just. But I think because I was with my son, I'm getting a bit goosebumps now thinking about it. But I just remember celebrating with my son, and he was just so happy. And then, the last few minutes of the game were just a nightmare. And we won to stay up. And I remember looking at my son, and he just had tears. Even now, I'm just thinking about it. He had tears in his eyes because he was just so happy, just to see how much he loved Everton and he loves his football. It just made me so happy. I remember ringing work saying, "Look, I'm going to be late. Someone's going to have to hang back for me." I was like, "I can't. I'm only just setting off." And I just remember going to work with my Everton shirt on, and and that's the thing, because as much as Everton recently have had such we've had a load of results. We've had a few bad seasons. Moments like that are amazing, and as much as you can have all the successes you want at City, United, Liverpool. You can win all these cups, but there's something about when you survive relegation. It's something completely different, and it's
a dream, isn't it? Because it happened with us when I played Forest. We spoke about it with Jiggy when we played Forest, we were 2-1 down on 90 minutes, and we had to win to stay up, and we won 3-2.
Yeah, me and Joe's right that game.
Yeah. And it's like when you to compare it to the cup final at Wembley, the Papa John's. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, it's one of the best days of my life for the whole day, because there's no pressure really. You're in a cup final, it's 50-50 whether you win or lose, I suppose. Yeah. But when you go into a match where you think at the end of this match we could be relegated, and you and things like that, going 2-0 down, the emotions, the roller coaster of emotions that you've been through. That FA Cup, bloody hell, we'll never be an FA Cup final. That Papa John's final, we went 1-0 up on the 3rd minute, and then we went 2-0 up on 10 minutes, and it's like, we are coasting here. So there was no roller coaster. It was, we were high going up.
And it stayed there.
But to survive relegation in the manner that we've done, there's no feeling like it.
And those bigger clubs won't experience that, and they probably won't do it for many years. But it's just a different. And like I said, to see how it was affecting my lad, and to see how happy he was. It's just brilliant, and it's just awesome.
Brilliant. Right, okay. So finally, Everton have always been an upper to mid-card football team, but over the past few years, as we've discussed, they've unfortunately become relegation fodder. Credit where credit is due, though. They've survived under Sean Dyche. But what do you think about the current Everton team? Are they going upward or downward, or how do you feel it's going?
I don't think they're going. I think the sort of. I just think that there's a bit of both. I think there's players there with potential, and then there's players there that need to go, and that's nothing bad against them. It's just, I'm not saying that the bad players. It's just, I just don't think there's not a good fit there at the moment. And you've seen it at Bolton, you've seen it at other clubs. But I just think that there's, at the moment, is Sean Dyche the right man to stay there? I don't think so. I'm not saying I want Everton to go out and get some flamboyant Spanish, Portuguese manager or something like that. We've had them, and they don't do anything. I think Sean Dyche has done well, but I think when the new owners come in, it should be soon. I think they are going to make changes. I think that's going to be inevitable, and I think a lot of players are going to go. But like I said, we have got some there that I can see, especially for this Iliman Ndiaye. I think he's just unbelievable, and I don't really know how we've ended up with him. But so
right, okay. So the jury's still out at the minute, then.
Yeah,
you better not get relegated with this new stadium, or you.
This is the thing. This is what I've been saying. I think there's more pressure. On the team, because it's like we can't get relegated last season at Goodison Park and get relegated, and I just think there's that, and I just think it's something that the players are carrying in the back of their minds. I mean, they'll probably say that it doesn't affect them, but I think that, and I think I think it's even in the supporters. I think if you were to go to Goodison now, there is that sort of atmosphere where it's like, right, we have to win, because we can't go to the new stadium in the Championship. It's just, who's going to want to do that? So there is that pressure, I think. Hopefully it won't happen.
Hopefully. Right, so that's the end of the first half, and it's now half time, which gives me the opportunity to plug the show. Come and follow us on Facebook and Instagram. It's Football Fives. Make a comment on Everton FC and on the team that Danny is going to submit in the second half. Head over there. It's football, the number 5, 'S. Right, so that's the first half done. So let's get straight on to the second half of the show. Danny's ultimate Everton 5-a-side football team. So there are rules, Danny. You must have at least one goalkeeper, one defender, one midfielder, and one forward. You can choose what formation you want to play. You can pick one sub, which can be at any position, and they must have played in your lifetime. So you've either seen them play live or on TV. So you cannot pick, for example, Dixie Dean. No. Understood?
I need to cross that out then. Yeah.
Right. Understood. So how have you picked your team? Have you gone for your favourite players? Have you gone for the best five-a-side team that you think?
Well, this is what this has been playing on my mind the last few days.
Has it?
Yeah.
Now, I'm sorry to interrupt here, but when I asked you about this, I must say I think you were a bit nervous.
Yeah.
You were texting me a lot. Mate, honestly, this is going to be a brilliant show. I can tell. Anyway, so go on. You've been thinking about it.
Right. Yeah. I've been thinking about it for the last few days, and then I must have changed it about. I think I've changed this team about 8 times.
Right. Okay.
And that's just within the last 24 hours.
Right. All right.
I've changed it twice at work today, so I didn't know. So I'm thinking, right, do I pick, the best players that I've enjoyed watching, or am I putting the best players that would be good as a five-a-side team?
Yeah.
Okay. And that's what's been tearing me.
Yeah.
So I think I mean, if other Evertonians listen to this, I'll probably get slated for it.
Right. Okay.
But I've sort of gone with some players that have shown that loyalty. Players some players that the fans just love. Yeah. And some who I've adored.
Right. Okay.
So I thought it's a mix really. So the first player.
Well, hang on a second.
All right.
Hang on a second. What formation are you playing?
I've not really thought of formation.
So if you've got facts, obviously
I've got one.
Have you got one defender, 2 midfielders,
one defender, one midfielder, and 2 forwards.
So this is the first change. I mean, I will say I don't know what order these episodes are going to be going out.
Yeah.
But this is the first change, so we've gone for 2 forwards. Right. Okay.
Right. Really?
So you're the first one. Everyone has gone. So far, everyone has gone 1-2-1 and gone for 2 midfielders.
Well, I've looked at it and thought, right, it's five-a-side.
Yeah.
Just attack.
Right. I love it. Absolutely love it.
We don't really get in an Everton team.
So, right, okay.
Quite ironic, really.
Yeah. Right, so now I think that this is going to be the most stupidest question that I'm going to ask in all the series, all the episodes, okay? Because there are some teams. So I've done a Bolton one, and I could kind of have a hazard a guess that JJ Kocher was going to get picked.
Yeah.
Okay. I did an England one as the first episode, and I could hazard a guess that, well, looking back, thinking about it, that Gascoigne was going to get picked. Even though I totally forgot about him, but as soon as Gascoigne was picked, I thought 100%.
Yeah.
As soon as I text you this, I thought to myself, I would put my pension on who his goalkeeper will be. So without further ado, who's your goalkeeper?
So I've gone for the one and only Big Neville Southall.
I knew you were going to go for Neville Southall. I knew you were going to go.
Is your pension safe?
My pension is safe, yeah. I knew you were going to go for Neville Southall. Well, he's your hero, isn't he?
He is, yeah. I grew up watching Nev. I think up until he was the best goalkeeper by a long shot, even going into the 90s, until probably Peter Schmeichel really started to come into form with the Man United. Schmeichel was really... He brought his own style of goalkeeping, which was completely different to Southall, but all the way, through the 80s. And I've heard Ian Rush and, ex-Liverpool players say how good he was. And I just used to watch some of the saves he made, and he was just ridiculous. That's not to say, though, Tim Howard, who we had, was a brilliant goalkeeper.
He scored against Bolton, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. I remember that. A winning night at Goodison, and obviously I'm a big fan of Jordan Pickford. I think he's brilliant for England, and he's single-handedly kept Everton in the Premier League, and he'll go down as one of the greatest keepers we've had. But majority of the time he was watching Neville. I was gutted when I went training for the day with Everton when Joe Roy were there and he weren't there.
Oh no!
I was absolutely devastated. But I've just got to mention that I had a part-time job on the side from my current job, and which I've had to leave recently, and all the staff have got me a gift, and it was a glove signed by Neville
Oh,
Southport.
really?
Yeah,
That's wicked.
yeah. So
that's
I
really
was
good.
absolutely made up
That's
with it.
really
and,
good, that.
So I'm just trying to convince the wife if I can be on the wall.
It's going on the wall.
Yeah,
Definitely
it's going on the wall. So yeah, so
a real presence, Neville Southall, wasn't he?
He
was a big guy. He wasn't. He was a
that's
I don't
what,
mean like fat. He
no,
was
but
big
that's
built. He was
I mean,
guy.
even in the FA Cup final in '95 when we won, he was a giant of a man, but he was still agile, and that's what used to sort of throw me. He used to defy logic sometimes with the saves that he would make. Hey?
Very similar to Schmeichel.
Yeah. You just think like, because you used to watch some of the other goalkeepers who, I mean, again, it's not a knock on for David James, but you used to look at like David James and his height and his physicality. David James was just solid muscle, but yet he could never sort of pull off the saves that Southall or Schmeichel could make. But yeah, Neville was just he was just brilliant, and he's an absolute hero. When you go to Goodison Park, you've got massive cladding of players all over Goodison Park, and there's a big one in Nev, and every time we go, I get Joseph to stand there and like, right, let me take your picture in front of Big Nev. So yeah, it'd be nice to maybe try and I know he does like charity functions and he does like audiences, audiences with and stuff, and I keep saying like I'll have to try and get to one to just try and meet him.
Well, dreams might come true on this show. So if you're listening, Neville, get in contact. And come to the Beaumont and have a cheeseburger and chips with Danny. Right, a couple of things before we move on. So, like I said, I don't know about the order of episodes, but definitely the first episode is going to be the England team that I did with Stephen Coriander. Good shout out to Stephen.
Yeah.
And he picked Pickford as his goalkeeper. So out of Shilton.
Yeah.
James, Joe Hart, all these, he picked Pickford.
Yeah.
Well, you can hear us talk about how good Pickford was.
Yeah.
He's one of the best keepers in the Premier League. There's no doubt about it.
I hear a lot of people saying, "Oh, Pickford's not good enough. He's prone to mistakes, and Pope's better."
Every keeper's prone to mistake.
Yeah.
If you make a mistake, it's a goal. That's what happens as a keeper. That's why it's a thankless task.
Exactly. And it's I just think that with his distribution, I don't think personally, and I'm not just saying this because he plays for Everton, but I don't think there's a goalkeeper in the Premier League that can distribute the ball like Jordan Pickford can. He's good at reading the games, and his saves that he makes are fantastic. And because I think we had a bit of a spell, didn't we, when sort of David Seaman was coming to an end with England. Yeah, it was a bit of throwing tosses to who was going to be in it. We had Rob Green and we had Paul Robinson, who was good. I wasn't a fan of Rob Green really, but Paul Robinson I thought was good, and it was just sort of left in limbo, that position really. And I think I was a fan of Joe Hart, but then Joe Hart used to get criticised all the time. I used to watch the England training videos of him training, and it was fantastic. I think he was hot-headed. I think that sometimes maybe affected his game, but I was a fan of Joe Hart, but I think Jordan Pickford for me is pretty much the complete goalkeeper, and I think Everton have done well to keep hold of him, if I'm honest.
Yeah, definitely. One last thing before we move on. I'm glad you picked Neville Southall. Cracking moustache.
Awesome. Absolutely. He still has it.
Absolutely cracking moustache. Right, okay. Your defender.
Yeah. We've had some good defenders over the time. Alan Stubbs, the ex-Bolton player. He was good. He's always been a big Evertonian, but he was good at. He was good at Bolton, and then I was made up when he came to us, and I met him a couple of times. He's a sound bloke, and So there was him and Leighton Baines. Again, he's on Everton's coaching staff. What a free kick he put it. Yeah. He was a brilliant. He was a brilliant defender. But for me, when I've looked at it and thought about it, I had to pick Seamus Coleman.
Oh, nice. So. Before you carry on, Seamus Coleman used to be one of my first picks in my fantasy league team.
Was he?
Yeah, because he was brilliant.
He's just player.
Attacking as well. Yeah, and he used to get goals and assists.
Yeah,
brilliant.
I just think he's an old school defender for me.
Yeah,
and the fact that we bought him. I mean, they sing an Everton song, Seamus Coleman song at Everton. 60 grand, Seamus Coleman. And when they sing it, it's just brilliant. Yeah. And because that's how much we got him for. And what a bargain. Because he's just one of them players that goes to a club, instantly falls in love with that club, wins the fans over, and then just wears his heart on his sleeve and just plays phenomenally. I mean, I always said an opposition could put a tank on the pitch, and if he knew he was going to get hurt, he'd still tackle. He'd still put that tackle in and tackle it. And he's had some nasty injuries. Do you know what I mean? He's had some nasty injuries, but then, like you say, he can attack. He comes up with goals every now and again. And I'm gutted really because he got injured playing for Ireland a few months ago in the first lot of internationals this season, and he walked off the pitch because I was like, oh no, don't tell me he's going to be injured now. And then he's still not come back, and I've not really seen any updates as to where he's up to with it. But I mean, I know they offered him another year extension to another year on his contract this season, so I don't think he was sort of in line to play that many games anyway. Yeah. But yeah, I think some Evertonians will say he is Mr. Everton, and when you speak, I like the fact that when you speak to when they interview other players, they've just got nothing but praise for him. He's very good in the dressing room, and I think I'd be very surprised if he's not a future Everton manager. I really would. Yeah,
a bit of a leader when he called him.
Yeah. And they still have him in the changing room as far as I know when even when he's not playing.
It'd be interesting to see. You might be able to look it up because we're using my phone for recording appearances and goals. If you go on Wikipedia, it'll have his appearances and goals for Everton. In fact, before you do it, have a guess.
Appearances. Oh my word! It's got to be. Let me think. How long's he been there now? He's got to be pushing 500 appearances.
So yeah, and how many goals do you think?
I'd say 18.
Have a look and see how far you're off.
Is he going to let me look?
If you've got this nailed on, Johnny, then
there is. At the moment, there's a documentary on about him. I think it's on. I can't remember what it's on, but
are you way off?
But it's just it's separated on Wikipedia. It's separated it.
Can't you not leave and go back?
No. Have a look. Been there.
Yeah, no, that's right. So 365 appearances, 22 goals. So you weren't far off the goals. Yeah. You weren't far off the goals.
Weren't far off. Yeah.
But for a defender,
what did I say? 500.
500. So 365.
Yeah.
So he played every day for a year.
Oh yeah, sorry. That's because that's Sligo Rovers. That's where we're going from, isn't it?
So he was there 2009. Blackpool on loan.
Yeah, I think when he was a kid when we first signed him, like a lot of clubs do, don't they send the players out on loan.
So 365 games, 22 goals. That's not bad for a defender. That is not a bad return for a defender. When his
primary job is to obviously just be defending. But yeah, it's just how he conducts himself, I think, and how he is as a player, and he just gets the Everton fans going. Yeah. You know, he's a leader. He's the Everton captain. He's a leader on and off the pitch. And just hearing from what Everton players say about him, he's just all day long.
Yeah, I'm not surprised by that at all. Right, okay, so Seamus Coleman is in. So who's your midfielder?
Oh man, this has been hard. This has been so hard.
Well, go on. Who were you going to? Who were you thinking about?
Right, I liked Thomas Gravesen.
Right, okay, yeah.
Right, I liked Thomas Gravesen because I just thought he was...
God, you won't mess with him on the side pitch, would you?
Oh, and that's why I thought, having him in the five-a-side team. And I think that when he went to Real Madrid, that was something that it left a bit of a hole in the middle of the park, and he was like our Roy Keane. You know what I mean? He was like our Roy Keane, and you just knew that when he was playing, he was going to give the opposition a bit of a tough time.
Yeah.
So, and then another midfielder was who I loved, and again wasn't at the club long enough for me, was Andre Kanchelskis.
Oh yeah,
I thought he was class.
Yeah. I forgot he went there. Actually.
Yeah, and I loved Andre. Yeah, he was brilliant. He came to United. He came from United, and it was one of them signings I just never thought in a million years would happen. It was just all of a sudden, because I don't really feel there was there's not the coverage of it like there is now in the transfer window, but when it was just like, we've signed Andre Kanchelskis, like, bloody hell, have we really? And I just like the way he used to run at players, because I don't think that's something a lot of players do nowadays. No. It's all passing and moving. Yeah. Yes, Grealish does it for City, and but it's not something that you see that much. But that's why I like Iliman Ndiaye, who we've signed, because he does that. He runs at players. Yeah. It's just brilliant to watch. So he was a contender. And then the other one was Gary Speed. Oh. He was just class, wasn't he? Bolton, and again another another Evertonian, and he was brilliant. He was brilliant. But the player that I've gone for, again, this is why I think Evertonians that are listening might sort of shoot me down with it. But I've gone for James Rodriguez.
Right, okay.
Simply because when we signed him when Carlo Ancelotti was our manager. How on earth Carlo Ancelotti was an Everton manager, I'll never know. And still to this day, he still says he's an Evertonian, but I think he's class.
Nice.
But he was the first player we signed in a long time where I actually got excited about having a player in the team.
Yeah.
He was just such a creative player. He could take players on. He could finish. He could make tackles. He was just, it was just quality. That's why we got him in, and it was because Ancelotti were there. We got him in the first place. But he towards the end of his time at Everton, he started getting a bit of run with injuries. But when he was playing, it's the only time in a long time where I thought, he's playing, we're not going to lose. We're going to be fine.
Okay, yeah.
And I've never felt nervous.
Yeah.
I've never felt nervous thinking, how are we going to do and all this. And for that reason, he got in. And I know my loyalty was thinking, should I pick? My head was thinking, should I pick a player that like a Gary Speed or something like that? And if I could pick more players, then I would do. But I just think to have a player like that in an Everton shirt was just class. And it's a shame because the stadiums were empty when he was playing because it was they weren't allowed in because of COVID and stuff. And so it would have been great to watch.
You're putting a lot of pressure on Coleman and Southall here because you've gone for an attacking midfielder and two strikers. I love it.
I just thought, Rodriguez can make the odd tackle. Seamus Coleman can tackle anybody. Big Nev is in there.
He's got a moustache.
He's got a moustache. What do I need a defensive midfielder for?
Love it. Yeah, so you have gone attacking. So go on, let's start with your first of your two strikers. Right, I think I've got an idea who one of them's going to be.
Right. So again, another player he's sort of an attacking midfielder was Tim Cahill. He was class. He was brilliant.
He was really good.
I love Tim Cahill.
He got sent off for scoring a goal.
Yeah. I tell you what, I always remember his goal against. He was playing for Australia in the World Cup. I can't remember who it was against. And he hit this volley.
Yeah.
And he was well out, wasn't he? Or was it a volley? I can't remember.
If I can find that, I'll put it on the socials. But yeah, just in case you didn't know the context for the listeners. So Tim Cahill was on a booking.
Yeah.
And he scored a goal and took his shit off.
Oh, dear me.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I love this celebration. He's got to corner and boxing and stuff. Yeah, that was class. But yeah, so he was he was played as he was an attacking midfielder. Sometimes he was put up as a forward. The other players, obviously, but again, they were just sort of before my era. The likes of Graham Sharp, Andy Gray, and Lineker. Yeah. Again, great centre forwards, but again, they were just before my time. Really, I'm making myself sound really young now.
It's all right.
So I've gone for the first one. I've had to go for Wayne Rooney.
Right, so before you carry on, the England show, okay, we were talking about five-a-side and England players, and I think Wayne Rooney is the perfect five-a-side footballer. Yeah. And he would, when I was thinking, I didn't do a team for England, but when I was thinking about it, 100% Wayne, I thought, right, Wayne Rooney's going in, I think about everyone else. Yeah. It was.
I completely agree. He's just got that natural ability, hasn't he? He did.
He's special.
Yeah,
he was special.
Yeah, and he was the biggest prospect I'd seen. And I remember I was abroad when he scored when we played Arsenal, and he scored his first goal at Goodison Park, and he hit that ball, and then it beat. It went into the top left hand corner, and I just remember the commentator saying, which is still played now, Wayne Rooney, remember the name, and people always say because he never did interviews. David Moyes wrapped him in bubble wrap, and he wanted anybody to speak to him. Yeah, and rightly so. And I was gutted when we lost him, but at the same time,
happy for him.
Yeah, I wasn't one of these, and I might get ridiculed by Evertonians with this one, but I was never angry that he left. I just thought at the end of the day, he's a young lad. He's 17. He's just trying to better himself. Do you know what I mean? And
why would he turn that down?
I know.
You know what I mean? And I seem to remember, obviously you're going to get your fans that will boo him and jeer him and say Judas, but I seem to remember the majority of Everton fans were like, do you know what?
Yeah.
We get it.
We get it. He's
and he came back.
Yeah, and he came back. And I always wanted him to come back. I always wanted him to get. You know, he had to, even when he was at Man United, he kept his season tickets. Yeah, you know what I mean? And that says everything about him. And so he was. It was a no-brainer. He was a no-brainer. He was just brilliant when he played. When he played for England, and when George, remember when he got injured during World Cup? And he had to go off. Oh God, you know, even every England fan we were just like, that's it.
No, it was before the World Cup or the Euros.
I can't remember which it was.
And they had that cryogenic chamber thing that they put his foot in. Do you remember?
Yeah.
And I remember him going off. And I can't remember what game it was, but I remember him going off, and the entire stadium was silent.
Yeah,
because they thought.
Yeah. And then when he got sent off with that Vincent Ronaldo. On the wing. So Wayne Rooney, class, boyhood Evertonian, came back, and then I always remember when he scored his hat-trick against West Ham, and he scored from the halfway line.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Again, so I'm glad he got that, and I think he was happy. I think he would have. He always wanted to get that hat-trick because he never had it in his first stint.
Right.
So that was his one and only time he scored a hat-trick for Everton, and. And I think after that, the end of that season, that's when he went to. Remember, do you remember that? He gets played on the internet quite a lot when he's playing for DC. In MLS. Yeah. And someone loses the ball up top. Yeah. And he he runs back, puts in the tackle just past the halfway line, wins the ball, runs back towards the attack, knocks a massive long ball in from the halfway line, and one at DC players gets on end of it. And
I do remember that. Yeah.
But he must have ran about 40 yards to win the tackle, and no one else was bothering. It was just like, he's playing through this guy. But that's the player he was. His work rate was unbelievable.
And just an engine, solid, tough, quick, really intelligent for football.
Yeah. One thing I always liked was when he scored his first goal against Arsenal. There was photographs of him the following day, apparently, playing football after the game behind some shops where he lived with his mates.
Really?
And he's got a French international football shirt on.
Ah, right. And
it's just class because it's like this kid's just scored a goal against Arsenal. We didn't win. I think we lost 2-1. Right. But he's just scored a goal against Arsenal, and now he's playing. You know, it's like when we used to play. Imagine when you used to play. We used to play behind shops, and but before you're doing that, you just scored a Premier League goal against Arsenal. Yeah, crackers. But amazing. So
amazing play. Yeah, not surprised at all with that. Right, so put us out of our misery. Who's your last striker?
Romelu Lukaku.
Right, okay.
Romelu Lukaku. Yeah. He was another one. I think we were lucky to sign him. We got him from West Brom. No, we didn't. We got him from Chelsea, sorry. He'd been on loan at West Brom the season before. And then we got him in from Chelsea. And, oh, God, what a powerful centre-forward he was. He just used to make defenders look like Sunday League players. Yeah. You know, the way he used to shrug defenders off. Yeah. He'd have his back to goal with the defender right on top of him, and he'd just shrug it off, keep hold of the ball, turn, and could finish. And it was just ridiculous. Yeah. But again, he was another one where I just used to think, because that's the thing as an Everton fan, when a player starts doing really well, you know that the clock's running then, and you're thinking, he's going to be gone.
That's the same with it. The same with everything. Yeah. Every team similar to Everton.
And I was devastated when he left. I really was, because as much as DCL has tried to fill that gap, Calvert-Lewin, it's not. We've always struggled. I think there's always been that gap, and there still is now. We've still struggled to fill that. And I know that we were never going to replace him, but we lost so much firepower when he left, because he was just a mammoth of a centre forward. And I just think at the time there wasn't that many centre forwards out there that were that powerful and that strong. You know what I mean?
Was it? I mean, you're going to be able to tell me this. Is there not a touch of laziness about him, though?
I think there is more so.
Farther side.
I think there is more so now.
Yeah.
But not then. Yeah. Then he was hungry. Yeah. You could see he was hungry and he wanted to. But again, I think he was, whether he was using his time at Everton, and I don't blame him for it.
Yeah.
He was thinking, if I up my work rate here, I'll get the big clubs come knocking, and then I can go and make the big bucks, and that's fine. But because I think it sort of went. I don't think it ever really took off him at United. I think it was, we pretty much built our team around him.
Yeah.
No,
not at all. It didn't take off at all.
No, it didn't, and it just went a bit. I think it went a bit messy, and then that's when he went over to Inter, wasn't it? And, I was gutted when he went, and I was hoping he might have come back, but but not now. I think he's, I think we need to move on from that. But he was just class. He was just brilliant.
Yeah, right. Excellent pick there. So, who's your sub then? So, when one of these players gets knackered, who's coming on?
Well, Seamus Coleman doesn't tire.
Yeah,
he just keeps going.
There's a lot of pressure on Seamus Coleman here.
There is. I've gone for Duncan Ferguson.
That's who I thought you were going to pick as your striker. So when you said Lukaku,
well, this is what I've been changing for the last 24 hours.
I mean, this is an incredible team. So you've got Big Nev and his moustache and Seamus.
Yeah.
They are putting in a full shift.
Yeah.
There is obviously Southall will.
Yeah.
Seamus Coleman is putting in a full shift. There is no doubt about it. Yeah. If he gets injured, Big Dunk's going in defence. There's no doubt about it. Big Dunk is going in defence.
This is the
with
thing.
Big Dunk and that moustache of Southall, there's no goals going in.
But this is the thing. I thought, right, it's five-a-side. It's five-a-side. So I just thought, if we could just go on the attack, and I mean, because if you're a five-a-side player, no matter who you're playing for, no matter what team you're playing for, if you know you're facing Wayne Rooney, Lukaku, Rodriguez, and then you've got Coleman and Southall at the back with Duncan Ferguson sat on the bench, you must be thinking, oh my God, what have I come to? So, and I just thought, because again, Rooney and Lukaku, big players, they can all play us off, and Rooney can get back and defend. So, and that's why I thought, do I go for Gravison? Or, I mean, I could quite easily have gone for a bit more of a defensive. I mean, don't get me wrong, Gravison could attack, but he was there, I think, primarily for his defense.
But Duncan Ferguson, he's a Premier League icon, isn't he?
Oh, yeah.
The stories that you hear about him. And my favourite thing about Duncan Ferguson is the Jimmy Bullard look that he gives him.
Yeah. I've seen it. I think that's on a few podcasts.
Absolutely.
When he tells that story.
Incredible.
And it's just
Jimmy Bullard's face is unreal.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not really made it as a manager, has he? He's had a few bad stints.
Yeah, I mean,
Forest Green. I don't know where he is at the minute.
He was up in Scotland, wasn't he? The name escapes me. But the club's just gone into financial difficulties, and he's had to step down. He was paying players with his own wage.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You can't fault that.
No,
can't fault that at all.
But yeah, I went for Lukaku just because I thought there was within his time there. I just thought he was a bit more clinical with his finishing, Lukaku. I think he just had that bit more strength. But Ferguson, I remember meeting Duncan Ferguson when I went training with Everton, and he was injured at the time, and he just looked after us all day. He was just with us all day, and he was just brilliant. And I see what he does for. It's just he's like Seamus Coleman. He's just idolised. He's God at Everton, and. He's even got an Everton tattoo on his arm. And which tells you all you need to know about him. And there's murals around Goodison that have been done of him, and he's just. I really wanted him to. I mean, God, one day to have him and Seamus Coleman as manager and assistant. I just think it'd be buzzing. And but yeah, I think that's why Ferguson sort of left Everton as a coaching role to. He needed to go out and get that managing experience, and I think that's what he's still trying to do, because I think deep down he would love to come back to Everton. Yeah. And he's just Duncan Ferguson's just what a guy! What a player! When he went to Newcastle, he broke a lot of Evertonians' hearts when he went there. But yeah, he was. But then he came back, and he's just class. He's just class.
I mean, when you said that you've gone for a little bit of loyalty.
Yeah.
You really have, haven't you? Because you've got Neville Southall, Seamus Coleman, Wayne Rooney
Yeah.
and Duncan Ferguson.
Yeah.
Definitely Seamus Coleman, Wayne Rooney and Duncan Ferguson are three of Everton's iconic players.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so you definitely you definitely stuck with the old faithful there, aren't you?
Rodriguez, I just thought a bit of flair.
Yeah, yeah.
Put a bit of flair in there, and then
attacking and half that, innit?
and Lukaku.
I just feel for Seamus Coleman. I just feel for him. He's not having a rest.
If he's listening, I do apologise, Seamus. I do apologise, but I know it's nothing you can't deal with.
Right, okay, so that's your team. That's your five-a-side team. So just to recap, Danny Vickers' ultimate Everton five-a-side team is in goal, Neville Southall, complete with moustache. Defender, Seamus Coleman. In midfield, James Rodriguez. Striker of Wayne Rooney and Romelu Lukaku. And your sub is Big Duncan Ferguson.
What a team.
Are you happy with that?
Oh, aye.
Are you dead happy with that?
What a team.
Right, okay, so we're now into extra time. So before the final whistle, I just want to thank my guest, Danny, today. Have you enjoyed it? I know that you're feeling a bit nervous.
Obviously, I've never done podcasts
before,
so didn't really know what to expect. But yeah, it's just been nice talking football.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's something we don't see each other that much. We work and kids and everything, so it's nice to just come out and just have a good chat about footy. And,
I mean, I knew when I was getting the guests together.
Yeah.
And I thought, Danny.
Yeah.
Because I thought, and I knew that I knew when I text you, you'd be like, oh, I don't know, I'm a bit nervous, but I just knew that you'd talk about Everton. I mean, I think this is the longest one that we've done. But do you know what? It's been brilliant. We've laughed, and you know, we always have a laugh.
Reminisced.
Anyway. Yeah. Anyway, finally, I'm going to ask all my guests to pick the closing music for the show. So, what song are we playing out to?
Well, seeing as though I've been talking about Everton for over an hour, I'm just going to go with Spirit of the Blues, Everton FC, which is what all the Evertonians sing, and it just when you stood on in the stand at Goodison and 40,000 Evertonians are singing that, it's incredible. So we'll go with that one.
Spirit of the Blues, Everton FC.
Yeah.
Right, okay. Thanks a lot, Danny. Really appreciate it.
Cheers, mate.
Okay, and that's it for today. Thank you so much for listening. Follow the page on Facebook and Instagram. Leave a comment if you agree or disagree with any of Danny's choices. I shall see you again next time with a different guest and a different five-a-side team. I've been Alex Cookman. This has been Football Fives, and that is full time. Take care.